Hey Run Junkies, I have one more set of my 5 Friday favorites for you this week for Vlog Every Day in August. And since I was a triathlete before I was really a runner, I thought I would mix it up a little bit. Today, I want to tell you about my top 5 favorite races. As I mentioned in a previous video, I was not a lifelong runner. In fact, I started in triathlon before I really became an exclusive runner. I came to running later in life, and so my experience is kind of limited. And I also don't do a lot of races. I'm not constantly signing up for races. I like the training process, not so much the racing process. First up, I have to mention the Rattlesnake Triathlon. I first signed up for this race in 2006, but it was also my first DNS, did not start. I ended up taking that DNS because I had just done another race about a month before that and I got myself hurt. So I did not actually do this race, but I did sign up for it again in 2010 and 2012. In 2010, I was just happy to finish, but in 2012, I took a full hour off of my previous time. So it was at that point in 2012 that I really started getting serious about triathlon. Next on my favorites list is the Boulder Peak Triathlon, not to be confused with Boulder Boulder. So yeah, that injury that I mentioned, I was doing the Boulder Peak in 2006 and I struggled through the entire race. So as I'm pulling up to the bike dismount line, I actually couldn't unclip. I fell over at this dismount line and I sprained my wrist. Now, forget about the blow to my ego because there were a lot of people watching that happening. I got into transition and I almost didn't get out for the run. I was so shook up, I almost just decided, hey, I'm just not gonna finish this race. But I did get out there, I did finish the 2006 Boulder Peak Triathlon. But I will say that I went back to Boulder Peak in 2013, and once again, I knocked a full hour off of my previous time. I love the Boulder Peak Triathlon, and if I were ever to get back into triathlon, which I'm kind of kicking around a little bit, I think Boulder Peak will be my first re-entry point back into that. The next race I want to talk about is the Boulder Boulder 10K. This, I spent years just not wanting to have anything to do with it, and then all of a sudden last year, I did it for the first time, and now it is one of my favorite 10K distance races. I'm leaving the card right here. We'll take you to my race recap for this year's event, but I love this race. It's beautiful, it's interesting. The entire town comes out to cheer you on. There are marshmallow guns and beer keg stands and slip and slides. I mean, you don't have to do all of these things, but it's still fun. Now, I can't have a list like this without mentioning at least one Run Disney race, right? My favorite in the Run Disney category, I think, would have to be the Avengers Half Marathon in Anaheim over at Disneyland in 2015. I just did a Throwback Thursday about this, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it was really the first time that I let go of all of the high expectations that I had for myself, or at least I started letting that go. It was the first time that I wasn't shooting for time or pushing myself to be stronger or faster, and it became something that I could take a break from the work, from the hard training for these big distances or fast races that I want to do, and I can just sit back and relax. But my last favorite is this guy right here, Ironman Coeur d'Alene in June of 2015. I worked for years to get to this race, and I've left a link in the description below to my original training blog that kind of documented my journey to get to that point. There were a lot of ups and downs, and it was a hard-fought race. And I was sitting here thinking about this, wondering, well, why is this even on the list? That day was hard. But I have to say that the town is beautiful. Coeur d'Alene is just gorgeous in general. The town is supportive. Ironman is a high quality event. And in spite of the conditions of that day, it was over 100 degrees that day, I enjoyed that race. I really had fun. There were times where I really thought I was gonna quit, that I was not gonna make it, that I was not gonna make that cutoff time of 17 hours. But it was really the pinnacle of everything I had accomplished up to that point. But I have to say, I mentioned this race with a little bit of melancholy, a little bit of sadness, because this year, in just a couple of days from when this video comes up, Ironman Coeur d'Alene, the full distance Ironman, will no longer be a thing. So this is the last year. If you are participating in Ironman Coeur d'Alene this year, have fun, be safe. Everything that I bring you guys is sort of a result of what I learned training for that race. And it wasn't just the 6 months that I trained for that race. It was the years that I built up to that race. Falling at the dismount line of 2006 at the Boulder Peak, and then coming back in 2013 and taking an hour off of that time, and then getting to the Boulder Ironman that I just decided not to do. I started training for it, said it was too hard. This wasn't my race. Okay, let's make another decision. And so by the time I got to Ironman Coeur d'Alene, there were so many lessons that I learned. And it really is everything that is important to me in my accomplishments as a runner and as a triathlete. Maybe it doesn't make a difference to anybody else, but it just proved to me what I can do. I mean, if I can do that, guys, thank you for letting me share these Friday favorites with you once again. Thank you so much for watching. I will tell you, I have one more live Q&A coming up on August 31st at noon Mountain Time. So if you want to tweet me any questions at Grace_Pretz, you can leave comments in the box below. My question for you today is this: what is your favorite race you've ever done? Please leave thoughts, questions, and comments in the box below. And as always, give me that thumbs up if you like this video. Almost done with Veda, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get out there, go find your awesome. Until next time, happy running.